Hey there, this is Niels Beardfoot, and today we are making a skull from leather that can be a purse. As always, starting with the pattern, print it out in a size that is fitting for you, cut away the edges and tape it together, and then cut it out in detail. For the leather you want to use wedge tanned leather. I recommend 2.5mm or 6 ounce. After cutting it out, you want to make sure that your edges line up exactly, and if not, make some adjustment cuts. Then you want to moisture your piece from both sides completely. With the leather now wet, you can transfer the teeth directly on it and cut them out in detail, as well as mark some other areas. For tooling the teeth, you don't really want to use a swivel knife, since when you bend them, it may open the cut and that will look ugly. It is really important to thin out the flesh side around the eyes to make the bending easier. Also, now we can bevel all the edges that will stand for themselves. Punching sewing holes, you just want to make sure that the number of holes ideally lines up. With the leather still moist, you want to give it a pre-bend so sewing becomes easier. Also, if you want to dye your piece, you want to do it now. Else, you just go straight to shaping. I use a bone folder to stretch the leather of the eyes, where you thin it out, and give some more room for deep eye holes. This will now be the most laborious part of the project, sewing all the edges together. If you not get the thread tight at first, you can still go back and retighten it. Note here that I made some changes to the pattern and this area will look a little bit different. Hammering down the stitch line is always a good idea to make it smooth and even. And when you've sewn everything together, this is how your piece might look like now. I also added the nose on the inside of the nose. For sculpting and hardening, you wanna soak your piece in water for around 10 minutes. And when it's done, take out the water and leave it for around 30 minutes so the moisture can distribute evenly. After that, the optional hardening process in the oven for 30 minutes at 50 degrees Celsius. This is a very tricky part. You want to really take your time with this, use some pictures of skull as reference, and slowly work your way towards the finished shape. Most important is the nose area. You want to press the area between the eyes inwards and the nose a little bit outwards, and the eyebrows also need to be shaped. After the hardening process, you have around 4 hours to give it its final shape, and while it's drying you got a lot of time, and you also want again and again check if the shape is fitting to what you want to have. And this is how mine turned out. You also can use this one as reference just to get an idea on how it can look. Initially I wanted to paint the skull after sewing, but this did not turn out great, so I paintbrushed it, and usually I would do this before sewing. To make this skull now into a purse, you want to add a soft piece of leather on the inside, but this is a tedious job, so you want to make sure you get the correct size. It can differ depending on your molding. Last step, adding the jawbone with rivets. And this is how you make a skull. You still can add at the ears some pieces with a shoulder strap to wear it around your shoulder, but this is completely optional. I hope you liked it. Leave the usual YouTube stuff and see you guys next time. Have a great day.